Yeah, very rarely in an event like this, very rarely are the aftermath worse than the assumptions you made early on, right? And we sort of danced around some assumptions on Sunday because we didn't have all the information. But as we speak, 48 hours after that, it's extremely worse. And I can only imagine how much worse it's going to be in the days to come. First and foremost, we have to address the obvious. We talked about it on Sunday. How does a roof and, of course, a water tower even further down the road, how does 130 yards away someone with a rifle get a platform to shoot at a former president of the United States and current presidential candidate? That does not happen. And I alluded on Sunday that this was not incompetence. This is potentially not incompetence. And today I can very clearly tell you, Chip, this is not incompetence. This is much worse. Incompetence is, everything we seem to talk about from week to week. Now, this is not I can't put my gun in my holster. This is not that. This is not a lack of training. That's not that. This is what we're finding out today is this is much deeper and more sinister than incompetence. It may not have been the executives of the Secret Service wanting this to happen. It may have simply been, let's create an environment where it may happen. Because what I want them to do is to go back to every Trump detail from here on back and see if they left these holes open in other locations. Because if you leave a rooftop, by the way, it's not just, it was a long rooftop. That was one section of that building. The Secret Service protocol, I want to reiterate this, is typically 600 to 1,000 yards exterior. They had 100 yards. The head of the Secret Service said, we had 100 yards and local law enforcement had everything else. They actually put local law enforcement inside the building, expecting that to keep somebody from getting on top of the building. This kid, they've got photographs out where he laid this ladder on that building before all this happened. That ladder was there. Nobody apparently bothered to check that building. They're now saying he came through the interior at 3 p.m. and set off the magnetometers because he had a rangefinder. And they decided to watch him. And they watched him until they lost him. Then a sniper was so suspicious of him, they took a photograph of him and sent it to all law enforcement and said, be on the lookout for this threat. At least 26 minutes before Trump spoke, they had identified that he was a threat to that crowd, and they let Trump get on stage. 2 minutes before, people were identifying and law enforcement had encountered him with a rifle. They're saying now he could have been on top of that building much longer than that with that rifle. And I'm supposed to believe what the Secret Service director said was, we didn't put an element on the roof because it was sloped. Meanwhile, we're all with our own eyes looking at snipers on the roof next to Trump on a slope roof, much sloper than that roof. That slope didn't seem to bother the assassin. And so it is incredible to me that their response is, we only had 100 yards and the roof was too dangerous to put any of our elements on the roof. And everyone's just supposed to accept that. I mean, this is of epic proportions. I don't have any faith in the government to actually tell us what's going on. Hell, we don't even have the JFK files yet, Chip. I mean, that's 7. I mean, so I don't expect to ever get the truth. And I have one advice. I don't think anybody's going to listen to it. But if I'm Donald Trump's team, you can keep the body people on you from the Secret Service. But the Secret Service cannot be in charge of the interior and exterior of any future events. You need to hire private contractors that know what they're doing, that's not political, that's not tied in to the Joe Biden administration, because this is not incompetence. And people are afraid to say that, but I don't know what else to think with what we're finding out.